And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. The American Cancer Society is out with a new warning. Colorectal cancer is affecting men and women of all ages. Very young people. This is according to their new study. Researchers predict almost 20,000 people under 50 years old will be diagnosed in 2023. The cancer is dangerous. Plus, we address AFib in the USA and the concerns medical professionals have about that a little bit later, but we start now with the cancer, Dr. Danish Ali. So what is the typical age for colorectal cancer? Yeah, so typical age nowadays, it's actually becoming younger and younger, right? And that's why the American Cancer Society has now issued this statement out. But I'm sorry, what is the typical age that we're used to? Right, so typical age before was anywhere from about 45 to 55 years old, right? Now we're seeing this in the younger population and younger, as young as 35 years of age. So, and that's why the American Cancer Society is now talking about it, because what's happening, Isaiah, is that these cancers are becoming more prevalent and they're becoming more aggressive in the younger population. And so if you have any risk factors, if you have any family history of cancer, specifically colon cancers, or you're overweight, you have other medical conditions, or you smoke, those are all important reasons for you to be tested and evaluated for this. And they also, the information you sent me, the research you sent me said it was a mystery. And they don't understand why it's happening. That's correct, yeah. There are some hypotheses out there. There are some beliefs of why that's happening, but we're not fully sure as to why this is happening. One of the thoughts is more processed food that we're consuming here in the United States. And we do see a higher rate here as well of this, of colon cancer, and we see it in men as well. So there's more of a chance of having colon cancer in men than there is in females. And so what's the testing process? And how would you even know if you're one of those young people who may be susceptible to it? Sure, yeah, so family history is very important, right? Family history as well as medical comorbidities. So if you smoke, you're overweight, you have other medical conditions, those are all very important precursors and important diagnostic kind of information for the medical professionals, number one. Number two, there are tests that you can do, right? Especially, this is one of those very treatable cancers out there, because if you catch the cancer early enough, you can treat it, you can get it removed, and that's why colonoscopies are such important tools and such resourceful, because not only is it diagnostic, meaning you can go in and diagnose it and see if there are actual lesions and polyps there, and number two, you can also treat it. So if there are these precancerous lesions, then you can go in and remove those at the same time. Now, you know, there are people like me who never never go to the doctor until I'm like bleeding out of one of the orifices. And there are things for people like you, Isaiah. There are things, there are blood tests, there are other stuff out there. But what can we notice at home in our daily lives that would tell us that we have colorectal cancer? And that's the difficult part, right, Isaiah? This thing presents itself as very asymptomatic initially, because you don't have any or really lots of symptoms initially until it's too late. So if you've got like rectal bleeding, or if you've got weight loss, fever, or chills, you may be more at the advanced stage of this. And so that's why it's very important to get a good history and to get worked up earlier on if you have that history. Did you see my eyes? I was like, do I have any of those things? But anyway, let's talk about AFib in the last remaining moments we have. Sure, yeah. So AFib is one of those that we've been talking about for a while. It happens from time to time in folks, right? So it's paroxysmal. What that means is that it... But first, let's establish what it is for the layman who may not know what AFib is. Right, so atrial fibrillation is an abnormal rhythm of your heart. That the heart is supposed to contract and it's supposed to get the blood out to different areas, and AFib is when it does not do that and it just kind of fibs itself, it kind of just shakes without pumping all of that blood out, right? That predisposes you to heart attacks, to strokes, and those sorts of things, and that's why it's so important to talk about that. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about is smartwatches, right? Some of these smartwatches are great helpful tools in our toolbox to tell us, because when you go to a doctor, you may be just getting an EKG, which is just a 12-second glimpse of what your heart's doing at that particular moment. Therefore, if there's other things that we can do to help us in this fight,
That's what's very important, and that's what we're talking about.
All right, Dr. Donna Charley, always good to see you with bad news. And everything you talk about is like it's me. I am dying right now on the factor. I'm scared. We appreciate your time, sir.